So I give a lot of credit to just being a friend back in town and reaching out, not in an effort to win me backs per se, but literally just to be like, you're back in town, I miss working with each other. And that rolls right into a lot of what I think retains people, and that's the culture and the people. So.
Welcome to SSR On Air. I'm Mike Rogers, your host for this monthly podcast brought to you by Smith Seckman Reed. Tune in as I interview leaders, colleagues, and clients about what is going on internally at SSR and in the larger engineering community. Well, thanks for coming and joining today. Appreciate you guys coming in. We got Jessica and Brittany. Brittany, I started calling you Brittany. How about that?
That won't work.
Yeah, Brittany.
I'm going to have to fix that one.
Jessica and Brittany here to talk today. I'm going to talk a little bit about recruiting and what we do around here around that front, and how we bring in the best people and people that we love to have around and hang around and make part of the SSR family. So I'm not sure how to kick it off. I guess maybe kick it off with your story, because you haven't been on the podcast yet.
I haven't. Nope, first timer.
So, Jess, because you've been on it before, and I encourage people that are listening to go back and look at the ones that we've done before and pick up some of those are good. So maybe just tell a little bit of your story, where you came up from, and how you ended up here.
So, born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and in college, trying to land on a major, I knew I, excelled at math and science on the ACT. So I asked my dad, I was all right, what does this mean? And he pointed me to engineering. Yeah. And so I was actually at Union University in Jackson, and they only offer electrical and mechanical. So I picked electrical kind of because most people were going mechanical, and I wanted a little bit different, and there was a little bit more intrigue. So went with electrical, and I transferred to Memphis to finish up there. And then one of my best friends, his brother worked at an architectural and engineering firm that was a little bit down the road. So, sent out all the applications and ended up getting picked up there, which was great, kind of introduction to the industry, because I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
In class, you're learning theory, and I'm hustling to keep up with test subject matters. I couldn't even focus on what was out in the world, and I didn't have, anyone in the family that was directly involved in engineering. So, few of my instructors at school worked at MLG&W, so I knew that was a place that didn't really have a big, desire to go and work for. So when my friend's brother was telling me he was working on buildings, I was like, that actually sounds kind of cool. So I got in there, and then actually moved to Nashville because of my wife. We met in Jackson at school, and kept up the relationship. And so there was an opening at SSR, went after it. And it worked out, and so got brought onto the team and brought into the whole world of it.
So what year was that?
This was 2015.
Okay, so how do you feel like the recruiting was for you at that point? Because we're doing things different then than we're doing now. In a way, we were in transition, I guess, a little bit during that time. So how did you find out about the role? And
so I actually found out about the role because Hannah, my wife's, her dad, he's also an engineer. And so he was aware that there was an open position. He knew that I was in engineering and was like, well, if they're serious, maybe he'd want to move here. He's a nice guy. I'll look out for him, see what's out there. Yeah. So he was like, Hannah, you should tell him about this position at SSR. He should reach out for it. So luck of the draw there for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really wasn't reached out to by then. But after I was hired, I know that there were, because Cody and Eric both kind of followed, and I feel like after I was hired, there was a good bit of people that kind of came on, and now it's just we got a lot of activity going on with recruiting, which is awesome. But it is kind of looking back. I have a passion for recruiting and mentoring just because it was so out of sight, out of mind for me in school, and I was like, I wish I would have known, because then I could have, had vested interest to finish up school and know where I wanted to go, because it was I graduated college in 2012, so all throughout college, economy kind of, people weren't having internships or co-ops. It was a little bit trickier.
Right.
So now that we have healthy internships and co-ops, it's like, get on, this is great. So
Yeah. No, actually, I was the same way when I was in school. I didn't have a clue what engineers really did. I mean, you're going in it because you're good at math, and here you go. And as a mechanical engineer, it's just so broad. I mean, they got you doing machine design and aerospace and doing a little bit of everything. You just don't know where you're going to end up. And luckily, I had an Air Force recruiter come along and tell me where I needed to be, right? And that worked out really well because they paid for school, and that worked out. So otherwise, I wouldn't have known. I'd have been the same thing. I was like, what am I going to do here?
Yeah.
And they put me in a design shop. I could have done anything for those guys. I was actually put right into a design shop. So luck of the draw, like you said, in some ways.
That's right.
So it worked out. And so what's your role now? We'll back up and talk a little bit more. What's your role right now, though?
So right now, I'm project manager and electrical engineer on projects. And lately, it's been the second more. It's kind of the swing of projects as they're in design or new ones come up. So
yeah, so you play dual roles. Sometimes you're the project manager and electrical engineer on a job. Sometimes you're just the electrical engineer. And
that's right.
Yeah. Okay, how it goes. That's good though.
Yeah,
it's good. So you own some completely, and others you own pieces of it.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, Jessica, I know we've told your story before, but just your role now as HR director.
Yep.
Right. So how would you describe your involvement in this part of recruiting and in the world that we're doing now?
Yeah, that's probably continued ever since I've been here. We are heavily involved. I think some of the most important things we can do, if you break it down to the simplest things for HR, is get the best people in and continue to develop the people that we have. So that's probably HR in the simplisticest form we can actually have. So we're heavily involved. Now, we can't do it all. We definitely reach out and lean on people like Britten and a lot of our other colleagues, because you're out and about. You see who's out there. You're interacting with other people. You know who's going to be a great fit for us. So definitely, I would say recruiting is much more of a partnership now and much more of an overall awareness, I think, in the company versus it being like, oh, well, that's an HR thing. I don't really know what's happening. Do we have openings or do we need people? I feel like now there's a lot more awareness on, oh, there's this many number of people that we need, and how can I help? Or I'm going to go to a conference. What type of people should I be looking for? Who should I talk to while I'm there? So the partnership has really, I think, increased the level and the quality of people that we've been able to bring in. So that's pretty exciting on our end.
That's a dual-edged thing, right? I mean, if you are out recruiting people that are going to work alongside you, you get the benefit from bringing the best ones in, right? And I think that's a little bit of our ownership mentality too, in my mind.
Definitely.
And, you want somebody that you can depend on sitting next to you and want to be part of the ownership, and let's go find the best ones out there.
Well, and we'll pay you a little bit of money for it too, so you get a little recruiting bonus and some great new friends to work alongside with. But
that's right. I get asked that a lot from other people, other companies. Hey, what do you guys do for recruiting bonuses and things? And so I know it's a hot topic out there. Yeah. So and it's good. I mean, it's good to have some incentive, I think. Alongside of, hey, I want somebody really good beside me.
Right. Yeah. It's an added little perk, I think.
Yeah.
As we continue to look for great people. But
so, Britten, you took a break from us though for a little while.
Yeah, I left that part out earlier.
Took
a little break.
Yeah.
He's our boomerang.
So exactly. So it's 2018. Got married, and since coming from Memphis, Nashville kind of always felt like Hannah's territory and showing me around, and we were just talking and thought, well, what if we go somewhere together? And so talked about how fun that sound of exploring somewhere new together. So we went to North Carolina. We're in the Triangle area. And I got a good job there. I really liked the work.
There.
The work that was going on up there. And it was great, but severely underestimated how much we liked having friends and family close. So it would be like the Thanksgivings and the Christmases we'd come in, or weddings, and people would catch buzz that we were in town. And it's like, oh man, let's hang out. It's like, oh my gosh, we hang out with so many people in that little bitty weekend. I missed that on a regular basis. So that kind of started the wheels turning about potential to move back. So
and then so how did you reach back out to us, or did we reach out to you? Because I know we kind of, one of the things that we do is we stay in touch with good people that go try other things. So
so when we had moved back in town, Cody Swayze had actually reached out and heard I was in town and was like, man, let's catch up. And I was kind of thinking, all right, well, I know where this is going. He's going to say like, oh, you should come back to SSR. But whether it was him or others that had reached out, like Mark Haldeman had emailed me because I was at a firm that he had worked in the past, and his connection there. And between those two, and there's probably some others, they were very good about not being upfront with like, hey, the reason I'm talking to you is to get you back.
Right.
And it was genuinely, because
Sure.
at the time, I didn't know that I wanted to come back here because I was content with where I was at. And I just thought, well, things are going well here. Here's what I'm doing. And they would just listen and be like, okay, well, if you change your mind.
We're here.
And yeah, exactly. And so I give a lot of credit to the, just being a friend back in town and reaching out, not in an effort to win me back per se, but literally just to be like, you're back in town. I miss working with each other. Yeah. And that rolls right into a lot of what I think retains people, and it's culture and the people. So even when I wasn't at SSR, I still felt it. And I was like, man, I miss that about SSR.
Right.
So.
That's something that I think about a lot, is that the relationships or friendships that you develop when you're in what I call the fire of projects, there's nothing like it, because it's almost like being in war, right? I mean, you are in the foxhole next to your team, and you're trying to get this stuff done, and you're getting hit from all sides, and it creates this bond that's just different.
Yep.
So I think that's part of it, right? I mean, it is true friendships, and you don't think about it. A lot of times we walk out the door, day's over, we're going to head home, but when you sit and think about it for a second, you're like, who do you spend most of your time with?
Right.
Who do you have the strongest relationships with? It's the people that you're sitting around.
I mean, similarly to like a big project push deadline, me and Cody, we took the PE together. So we'd have Saturdays up in the training rooms, and we'd do mock tests and be like, man, how'd this go? Or
that's awesome.
This one's really
just
holding me
like
up.
A couple of electrical guys, you guys.
So it's one of those that you think of, who you hold close. It's like those chapters where it's like a season of life. So whether it's getting St. Jude out the door and that final push, man, I remember at 11:30 being on Teams and trying to get it all packaged up, or studying for the PE. It is those moments you kind of build closeness with people.
Yeah, that's good.
Going to war.
So as you got a little homesick and you made some connections here, then who'd you make the call to?
So I had lunch with Cody and kind of said, hey, I'm interested, but no promises. And then Julie ended up following up with me, and after Julie and I talked, then got a meeting together. It was a lunch meeting with Mario and William. So that was great. And also, I didn't know, but that particular meeting was kind of like, I guess, the interview. And I know I was here before, so it's not the same as a standard interview, but Hannah and I were on an anniversary trip, and I got a call from Mario, and I wasn't expecting anything, and he was like, hey, I'm packaging you up an offer. I thought there was one more step. We were having burgers and talking across the table. I didn't know that's when it was my time to kind of go through everything for the interview process. So
they just knew. Yeah, so. That's good. Well, cool. So what else do we do on the front of recruiting? I mean, I know we're trying to work on the demographics a little bit. SSR has historically or recently been an older company.
Right.
And we're replenishing a lot of the young blood, and there's gaps in there because of weird things that went on, and from 08 to 10, that weird stuff that went on there, and how it was difficult to find people in that window, especially electrical engineers in the window. And so what else have we got going on that are helping us with some of that?
Yeah, so we have to look at it from a lot of different angles. It's important to get on the very front end, so we can't stop the EITs, the interns that we have. So that's a lot of being really very, very specific about where we're going to go. What schools are we going to target? Where can we make relationships where that dean of engineering is going to call us and say, I have 5 people you have to have at your company. Yeah. Go talk to them. Versus us showing up and no one's heard of us, or they don't know anything about us. So it's intentional relationships at the college level and expanding kind of where we've looked in the past. We actually won an award for being one of the top supporters of an HBCU last year. So that was an exciting accomplishment for us as we look just to have more of a diverse workforce as well. So building on that front end, involvement in ACE mentorship. So even from the high school side, trying to say come on, this is a great avenue to go in, kind of back to what Britten was saying, but making them know that this is an option. This is an avenue that you can go into and learn more about, especially as we talk kind of about some of our smaller business units, our building enclosure, which they're not going to teach it all at school. Right. So we feel like we're doing a lot of educating on that end. Outside of that, it's a lot of being very careful about knowing what else is going on in the company. So if there's a conference, reaching out to people. We're partnering with Lauren in our marketing group to find out, all right, who's going where and when and what type is it, and can we hit these people up ahead of time to be on the lookout. Talk to other folks, even if it's companies or names that we can source and look for on that side. So it's broad, kind of across from that entry level to that kind of ending. A lot of industry news is helpful too. Mergers and acquisitions outside of our company are great to know about. People get nervous and will reach out.
Yeah, things happen in acquisitions usually. So
and it's a long game. We want to make friends with people and know it may not be right now, but we'll be your friend. We'll chat for a couple of years, and eventually, if you have a bad day, give us a call. That's what we're here for. It's not a let me keep emailing you the same thing over and over. Call us, come work for us. Call us, come work for us. Yeah, we're not interested in the spaghetti approach, but more of a let's make a relationship and get to know you and know that we're here and we're ready for you.
Yeah, even 22, almost 23 years ago when I came here, it was the same thing. I mean, it was a 2 or 3 year courtship before I came in the door. It was conversations. It was get to know the company, get to know the people a little bit. Another year passes, run into them at some things, work with them on, ASHRM committees or whatever it was. It was that kind of a relationship building, and then it was like one day I was like, I think I'm good with that. I think this feels better, than where I am. So it worked out. You mentioned the ACE Mentor program. One of the things that strikes me is that in the U.S. specifically, we're woefully short on engineers. And the trend is that in a few years we're going to even be more short. I mean, I don't know what the
staggering number.
It's a huge number of engineering positions that they see or are anticipating are going to be open. And so if we don't start doing something as an industry to lean into the young people and show them that there's opportunities there, we're gonna be hurting, I think. I mean, granted, there's going to be a lot of changes in how we do work. Between AI and other things, there's going to be some stuff that takes some burden off of us. But at the end of the day, we're still going to be short people. You still got to have people to have that connection, that talking to the clients and all those kinds of things, which is we find is the bulk of what we do after we figure out how to do the engineering side. So I'm glad we're getting involved in that. I think there's a lot to be done there, and I was even looking at you mentioned a little bit about our makeup and our diversity of between men and women and different races. I mean, it's pretty broad now. I mean, if you walk into
it's changed quite a bit.
Walk into some of our offices, it's very broad. And I remember back, and I don't know, maybe you can speak to it when you were graduating, but when I was in college, I had my senior year, I think there were, out of 180 engineers, there were 2 women that graduated. Right? And now I think it's half. Yeah. Almost half, I think, are women graduating. So,
yeah, for me it was a little less than half engineer-wide, but electrical, it was even slimmer.
Oh, I bet it was. It was, yeah. Same thing, I think, in I was at the University of Tennessee, same thing, and electrical was a little thinner. And it's about what people are interested in as much as anything. I mean, guys tend to lean towards those things more, but it's changing, and it's good to see.
Yeah, we're excited that it's a little bit of effort has made a big change on that end, just to kind of broaden where we've been able to hit, and the diversity is great. Different ideas helps on innovation and creativity. So seeing that change has been really exciting.
Yeah, I think it is too, and I think a part of what you're doing there too is looking in different wells. I think you mentioned that. I mean, we used to have our go-to schools, 4 or 5 schools we went to all the time. And name them. Yep. And now, how many schools are we talking to now?
We're probably talking about 28 in total. Yeah. But making sure to have some of those more diverse, specific schools, some smaller schools that we haven't gone to before, and more geographically. Yeah. Across kind of all of our locations. So looking for the very
best, but looking for the best in different pools. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus our 5 kind of key schools, and we're like, wait, you're outside of those 5? How'd you even come here?
I felt numbered for a long time. I was at the University of Tennessee, and everybody here was Vanderbilt. I mean, I was like, okay, wait a minute. Outnumbered. But we still win in football. So maybe not baseball.
Got one sport.
Yeah, it's all right. So what else? What else am I not thinking about? What else you guys got on your mind? Anything along those lines?
I have one. I'm thinking back to, first day back in the office.
Oh yeah.
So, it was a little bit,
like,
I'd already been through the, first
you.
day, first week of things to get through with HR and kind of the general stuff before we get into project work. So it was a little bit different because I'd been through it before, but a lot had changed. And speaking of a lot that changed, I remember walking through and, I was here for the office remodel. So I was like, oh, that's where I used to sit. Mine's kind of right next to it. So I'd see familiar faces, but I was overwhelmed. I was like, there's a lot of new people here, a lot of young people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But with seeing, all the people that I knew from when I was here previously, all these people just started coming up and I was like, Britten, good to see you. Like,
You're back.
Man, it's good to see you. And I remember being a little bit stressed because I was like, I'm a PM now. Like, there's a call at 8:30. It's like 8:20. I haven't even booted it up. Like, this is great to catch up here, but I really got to jump on this meeting. And I literally had to be like, great to see you. I got to jump on a meeting. And it was just, I remember sitting through the meeting and I was like, what a blessing to have that as a sort of complaint of like people wouldn't leave me alone because they were trying to catch up with me.
Yeah.
I got off the call and then of course, it was kind of making my rounds and telling people what's been up. But again, that falls right in line with the culture. And I was just like, man, I didn't have that sort of community where I was at. Yeah. And I know a lot of that is building that community of me in the past, but still to have people see me back and not be like, oh, he's back, but it was like I want to catch up. Give me the spiel. Like, how have things been? So I was like, that was really special. I want to remember that.
That is good. That's a good one. Yeah, we have a handful of boomerangs here.
We do.
And some that are multiple boomerangs.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's good because, people, the days of spending 40 years at one place without trying something else are probably pretty rare, I mean, people got to go out and at least see what's on the other side of the hill,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
grass is always a different shade of green, right?
right. Well, I'm glad you're back.
I'm very glad to be back.
Same.
Yeah. So, what roles do we always need?
Yeah.
And, which ones are focused on now? And then also what areas of the country are we really driving into and looking for people?
Yeah, for our kind of always looking, I would say, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, EIT through senior level. We're always looking there. Project managers as well. That's kind of our bread and butter, right?
Yeah,
Those are kind of key. I would say our hottest positions, honestly, right now are senior plumbing designers. We can use help there, definitely. Always looking for really great candidates on that end, as well as some project managers on our civil side and structural side. So looking at some different areas, our horizontal side a little bit more this time right now. But outside of that, Texas is hot. We're always looking for people in Texas.
Yeah.
If you're down the Florida area as well, we've got a lot of opportunities kind of across that southeast for us. So regardless of what location you're in, I would say definitely reach out if you're looking for a new home and a better culture. We can make that work and figure that out on that end.
So along those lines, when we're recruiting people, are we recruiting them into specific offices? Or
Yes and no.
Yeah.
So our sourcing side, which is really Lacey on our team, she really looks for position-based. So take location out of it, take everything else out, and it's much more a unique set of skills. So whether it's an electrical PM like Britten, she is looking across the U.S., no matter where you're located, and trying to find those unique skills for that role. And then once we start narrowing down some candidates, we'll figure out where maybe they would be interested in going. I think we're lucky with the work that we have now and the fluidity of it that we can support people in different locations. And it's not always we only have to have a seat in Nashville and that's it.
Right.
So that's changed some. There are some roles that we need in specific locations and that's okay. And we'll go more dig on that end, heavily source for a location, but it's really a mix of both.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned Texas and Florida, and just the whole southeast region of the country is it's where it's all happening right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. If you pick the hottest states, I mean, believe it or not, even though a lot of people are leaving California, there's still a lot of stuff going on in California just because it's such a big economy. But take that out of the mix, and everything else is happening in the southeast and Texas. Yeah. So it's true. We're in a good place.
Had a lot of growth in Atlanta lately, so that's exciting to see that.
A couple of great projects.
We did. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I still struggle with the disconnect between our industry and the busyness of it and what else is going on around the economy.
Yep.
There's just a disconnect. And I was talking with a banker, just in a side note, talking to a banker the other day about that. And he said it really has to do with the fact of where those projects are getting their money from. It's just different than where consumers and other things are getting their money from. So it's a different game, I guess. Talking to the big projects going on in Nashville right now. One of them is the Nashville Yards project that's been going on since 2015, I think.
Sounds about
8
right.
years is when they started. It's when I think 8 years ago is when they blew up the Lifeway building. So and they still got, I think they still have 60% of the buildings to build. They've come up ground level with them yet, but they still got a long way to go. But it's just investors. It literally is a great big investor group that's building this, and so it's people,
Right.
with money, not so much banks, not so much companies. It's kind of interesting how they're doing it. But anyways, just a disconnect from the industry and how busy we are. I mean, it's a good thing, and I hope it continues, and I think it will. I mean, the infrastructure bill that passed and the money that's flowing through that, it hasn't quite hit the ground everywhere yet, but it's coming out strong. So
that will help.
That'll help us too. So.
And I remember when we sat back weeks ago talking about what separates SSR from elsewhere where I've been.
Right.
And not to say anything to put down those companies, but something that is glaringly obvious is that aspect of ownership. Whether it's the ESOP or, I mean, if I'm passionate about wanting to do things better in Revit, or if I have a passion for sports arenas or hospitals, whatever, it's pretty autonomous. Like, you get in here, and as an owner from an EIT on, you have say in what you want to do. And I think we're able to do that because of the structure of us all being owners and feeling the weight of that. So,
well, yeah, and I think that plays to the fact that we want people working in and around things that they're passionate about.
Right.
I mean, you do your best work. So if you wake up and go, hey, I really want to lean into this healthcare thing, then you just let people know, and it can happen easily. I like that. So you're involved in the mentorship program?
I am, There's a mentorship committee that we have that just got kicked up off the ground.
Okay.
So
you have a dual role, though.
That's right.
He was helped on the committee side,
on the committee,
and then
and
stayed
now,
a part of the steering committee.
Okay.
And then now he's actually in the program as well, living it as a paired group. So he kind of hits it from every single angle, which is exciting on this end to see kind of from conception to staying involved and actually living it, which was just kicked off, which is really exciting.
Okay, so I didn't realize you were actually on the committee that put together the framework for it, which is difficult to do because there was a lot of things to think through there. I mean, because mentorship is about a lot of things, and it's about making those connections. And it used to be that we just kind of let them happen,
exactly,
and we still let them happen, but now it's a little formal.
And that's been the trickiest piece. I mean, I talked week to week in our meeting that mentorship isn't anything that's super breakthrough at a firm like ours, but to put that structure around it and have a guidebook of suggestions, but without micromanaging it too much, it's just and to have the people on the committee and getting this thing off the ground, I'm like, oh, it was really cool to be a part of that. And then like I said, the emails have gone out, the booklet's been out.
Our pairs are all meeting for the first time.
And running, so I'm going to be interested to see how we improve it for the next cycle around.
Agreed.
And again, it goes into that aspect of ownership of like, oh, my name was kind of on that. That's kind of cool.
Right.
So not how many, but what percentage-wise, how much of the company's involved directly with it?
So we've got 25 pairs for this first year. That was our plan. Let's start it small. Let's make sure we do it right.
Okay.
Let's touch base with them before we roll it out to a larger group. Just again, wanting to be intentional about it. We heard that over and over, that mentorship is great and it starts off really strong and then dies away. And we were meeting, but we haven't met in a while, and it just kind of died off.
Yeah.
So having someone from the steering committee involved in every partnership, we're checking in with them monthly. We're making sure if there's any questions or, what's hard. Here's some suggestions that we have, ideas for you. Just try and stay in that partnership with them and make sure it really does affect both sides, that mentor and that mentee. So we had a really big response for people to be a part of the committee, which was exciting. That was sent out to the company. Had a great number of people want to apply to be a part of that, and whittled that down, and then whittled down a little bit more to kind of keep on for the steering committee, which is exciting. But we've got a good group of about 11 of us that are continuing to talk and meet and support the pairs that are out there. And I think there's a good amount of the steering committee that's actually part of the pairs as well.
Yeah.
So enough to believe in it to want to do it as well. I'm done. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
But we hope this can be really ingrained in the culture and see this continuing to grow. We know we would be dead in the water if we didn't do technical mentorship and technical training and continue that as that's what we do. That's what engineering is. It's apprenticeship.
Right.
But kind of taking that to that next level for the professional development, the growth and opportunities that they can see at the company, and just get a different perspective and bridge kind of some of those gaps between locations and business units and programs.
That's good. Because you know, back in the day, you would do your engineering up until the point in which you became something else. And it would just be like, okay, here's your new role, and you have no idea if you're even capable of doing it, right? And so now it's more about taking on that a little bit at a time, pieces of it, finding out what you really want to do. You may not really want to be a project manager, although everybody thinks they want to be at first, right? They may get into it and go, well, I really do like the technical side and solving those problems. And you know, and so it's a chance to experiment and hear firsthand from some people. So it's good.
Yeah, we hope to highlight them and continue to talk about the pairs. So you'll hear more about it, whether it's in One Wire or some different social media posts, kind of throughout the year as it goes. So.
I mean, the responses that we've gotten back from a couple of the pairs, that they're surprised at how well of the pairs is working out, because we were intentional on, you know, it's not like, you know, electrical PM gets paired up with a senior level electrical engineer or a senior level PM. I mean, some of them is like, that pair is a little bit strange, but I feel like it can work out. We talked through it, and it does give you opportunity to see another side of the company that you haven't seen. And things like adjacent services, like building enclosure, commissioning, like that's a huge opportunity there that I think is really going to benefit from it, even on project work. So
absolutely,
it's been cool to see that, like the pairs. I'm like, I wonder how that's going to play out. Like, that's great.
Hearing back the excitement from them as they're like, I had no idea why we were matched at first and thought it was weird, and then we met and we're like, this is the best. I have a new friend. This makes sense.
I have no idea what you do, but hey, but that's the point in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
So,
and another aspect of it, and this isn't from the mentor pair that I have. We only had one meeting, but talking about, you know, we've got a lot of pairings that are in other offices, so it's not just you're limited to certain office-to-office relationships. And you do lack the in-person, you know, kind of let's go to a coffee shop. But what you get from it is, you know, having been on the round of kind of interviews, we're talking with people that have been hired in our Atlanta office or Memphis, or just the weekly meetings on our electrical team. I see faces of people in the Memphis office, the Atlanta office. And it was a while back, we had an event at T-Line for our MEP group. And it was just like, I would see someone and be like, oh, I instantly knew their name, kind of knew a little bit about them, knew they like had dogs or something, just a small fact. And they were so approachable to get up there, and it was just kind of that like, oh man, SSR won, like you're in a different office, but this makes it so easy to just have another friend in Atlanta or wherever it is. So mentorship committee is kind of the same thing. I'm like, it's pretty awesome. You know,
that is good.
We do have everyone in Nashville, or people are in town for connections. Be much different than, you know, walking by someone's desk and being like, you're electrical, I'm electrical too, see you later. You know, it's like, oh, first name basis.
Well, you mentioned connections, and I think you did too. I mean, it's one of the things that we do as well to bring us together and give us a little bit of that cultural connectivity, where that, you know, the connections is a mix. And some people know this, but I think a lot of people don't. It's a mix of people that have been here for a long time, people that have just gotten here, and everything in between from all the different offices. And it's a chance to hear the history of SSR and talk about the structure and the governance and other things that we're doing at a higher level. And then it also it kind of injects that, hey, get involved in something mentality, right? The committee that you were involved in or whatever it might be. Because the young people, the new people, people that have come from somewhere else, they've got different ideas, and we want them to inject themselves into it. So we have a lot of opportunities for getting involved. So it's if you don't treat it like a job job, it
Right.
won't be a job job.
Right.
I mean, it's a career. It's something that you can do, and you can develop great friendships, and you can grow in many different ways, and contribute back in a lot of ways that you don't
Right.
even realize. That's one of the things that I've learned over time, is that there's things that you know just from being around the business so long that you don't even realize you know them, and
Yeah.
they're valuable to other people. And so it's just about sitting down over coffee, like you said, and having a conversation sometimes. So what else do we have going on for young folks to get
Yeah.
involved in that I'm not thinking about?
We have our ESOP committee as well, which we've got a couple colleagues that are a part of, and so they're working on ways to continue to celebrate that and remind us, right? And I think we sometimes forget how special it is and how lucky we are to be part of an ESOP. So more ways to kind of push that across the company and celebrate ownership on that end. We are working through our innovation framework as well, so we're seeing some fun things pop from that, with like virtual site capture and other things that are coming up. It's really just raise your hand, look for where you're interested.
Yeah.
A lot of this has come out of our strategic plan, so reading and be a part of it. There's a lot of options to kind of help write the future DNA and continue to contribute to the culture that we've built here thus far.
Yeah, I think the innovation thing is huge. People sit around and think of things all the time. Hey, this would be great if we would do this. Don't let it just die there.
Right.
You know, take it to somebody and
Yeah.
let's run it through the gauntlet and see what comes out of it, because you never know when the next best great idea is going to come just from a
Agreed.
casual conversation. And the industry's changing rapidly, and we gotta stay ahead of it, and
Right.
or at least keep up. So,
Right.
yeah, at least keep up. So thanks for coming today. It was a great conversation. I appreciate it, and glad to have you back.
Yeah,
Glad
great
to
to be back.
Glad to have you working the ropes and bringing in great people and bringing back
Thanks.
great people. So much appreciated. Thanks for joining us for this episode of SSR On Air. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. You can also connect with us on social media. Links to everything can be found in the show's notes. Take care, everyone. See you next time.